Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another political episode. So this video is very similar to the video that Red Eagle had released a couple hours ago. Very inspiring, so inspiring that I decided to do one. So coincidental. We know that I'm using him as my roster, but it's a little bit different. His chart is mainly evolving GOP priority, and in which he uses red, the color red in the most shaded color red, the darkest color red, evolves the state of priority. The least color red evolves the state of depriority, or just a state that we shouldn't be really concerned about. I decided, I'm not going to kind of copy his video. That's his thing. I'm going to kind of do it a little bit different. This is my map, and it's mainly involving battleground states, and you can clearly see that obviously it's a little weird. It's not the typical battleground states we are used to seeing in presidential races, which we had 7 battleground states last year in 2024, and this year we have 18, okay? 18 battleground states. Now, obviously, we got to go into some explanations, because some battleground states, yes, we can't win like New York at large, but the reason why New York is a toss-up is because there are multiple House seats that will determine how the GOP will win if the GOP can win the House of Representatives. Okay, so New York is a toss-up. California, if Democrats get the most radical far-left lunatic, that Democrat far-left lunatic will win the governorship, but we're hoping that the opposition cocktail effect will deliver Republicans lots of seats in California. We know that the Democrats have been very unpopular in California. I don't think there will ever be a time where California will be Republican. It's just the Democratic Party is too grand-rooted. But to those seats that are a little tossed up, we are really hoping that those seats will sway to the right. But anyway, let's go through each state by state. Each of the 18. We're going to categorize the states by... We're going to categorize them by multiple colors. So first will be Senate, will be purple. We're going to say the toss-up states are the states that... Or how about this? What we can do is we can do the disable and get rid of all these irrelevant states. States that, they're not a state that we need to be worried about, that we don't need to really campaign in. The states, there are 18 states that are states that Republicans need to start swarming. They need to be knocking on doors. They need to fundraise. They need to build up the hype. And right now, the work for 2026 begins right now, because we got we got a Democrat in Georgia, Jon Ossoff. Even though I think he's beatable, he's popular, and we got to find the right guy to beat Jon Ossoff. And there's other candidates, other races. Some Republicans have advantages in some races. Some Democrats have advantages in some races. So we're going to kind of determine which of the battleground states is the most important, like out of the battleground states, in which category and which series of races it's involved in. Starting with the state of Maine, we know that Susan Collins, it could be potentially in trouble in that said state. We can look up Susan Collins again. Susan Collins has been known for being very popular, but just like Bob Casey Jr., she's been in the Senate for a very long time. She's in a blue state. She's a Republican in a blue state. There's a possibility that the blue state will probably get tired of her. Okay, so she's been in office since 1997. That's a long time, and that should be concerning for Republicans. But, you could go and say, oh, well, she's done so good staying in office. Well, Yeah, but then again, voters voters in general will often say, hey, look, we want somebody new. Okay, we want someone new, especially if you have a senator like Susan Collins, a blue state that votes for Democrats, not Republicans. That should be concerning. You got, Susan Collins, according to like 2002, she expanded to 58%, 61% in 2008. So she's getting more popular, 68%, and then her popularity crashes. Why? Well, I noticed because when Trump came around, the more of the anti-establishment Republicans are going against her, but she has the opportunity and the advantage when it comes to independence. She defeated Sarah Gideon. But then again, Sarah Gideon, what's her background? She is a part of the Maine House of Representatives. It would be very different if Sarah Gideon was a U.S. representative from the 1st District of Maine. Then that would be very concerning. But you could look at these polls, like clearly you can see Gideon was favored. But then again, it doesn't really make sense. When does a state senator defeat a U.S. senator? That doesn't really happen that often. Very rarely. And the polls are saying that Gideon was going to blow out Susan Collins in this said race. So we were very skeptical. Ultimately, the polls were super wrong, and Susan Collins won in an upset, which was unexpected for the most part. 2026 could be a bit of a difficult challenge. You're seeing here that just recently in April, race to the White House is predicting that this would be a flip. Now, let me get myself clear here. Democrats specifically aren't going to win the Senate. This Senate is not up for contestation in 2026. All the Democrats saying, "Oh, it's going to be, we're going to win the Senate." No, we're going to end the GOP trifecta. Well, you could end the trifecta by winning the House, but you aren't going to establish a legislative trifecta. That's not going to happen because Republicans have built a big wall with Pennsylvania. That Pennsylvania race last year was the nail in the coffin for Democrats. That was enough to lock the Senate up for Republicans for another year. But let's just say Democrats win Maine or they win North Carolina. Well, the Senate is suddenly back into contention in 2028. So really, this election for Democrats in 2026 is about preparing the Senate, making the Senate in their favor in 2028. A good battleground. And obviously gaining seats. They're not going to win the Senate, but in their goal, they want to pick up enough seats to put the Senate in their favor. Okay, so obviously Republicans shouldn't be complacent about this, but Maine obviously is a must for Republicans. Republicans must expand, period. They can't afford to lose. They could lose a seat, but they have to gain a seat to make up for that. Because we're saying, oh, the Senate's gone. Well, we can't say that. We can't say the Senate is locked up for Republicans forever when the Democrats could overturn that by flipping Maine and North Carolina and Republicans flip nothing. Imagine that. That would be a best case scenario for Democrats. So I don't want that to happen, but it's a definite possibility. But looking here, yes, Senate, we got North Carolina, the New Hampshire, New Hampshire race in which Jeanne Shaheen has, no, not Maine. Okay, Jeanne Shaheen is not running. Instead, Chris Pappas, which I consider to be just as strong, especially in the Democrat state of New Hampshire, just as strong in general. Let's see how he performed recently. So 54% to Russell Prescott's 45%. Yeah, I would say he's somewhat in the below 10% in approval, which is good. No, it doesn't really matter. He's still a strong candidate. He's above 5% winning in this very blue district, but still, it is kind of difficult. I wouldn't say very blue. The second district is way bluer. So actually, no, the second district was actually more conservative. Okay, yeah, that's because Lily Tang went and embarrassed Maggie Goodlander, which obviously was a huge mistake for her. But what about Republicans? Who's best to take on Chris Pappas? I hate to say it, but probably Scott Brown. I mean, who else do we have? Who else do we have in the state of New Hampshire? Not really anybody. We Republicans really needed Chris Sununu to run. He said no. Kelly Ayotte, she needs to stay the governor of New Hampshire. She is likely to run for re-election in the midterms. And chances are she will win that. So this is a state that Republicans need to win, but they can win in case the Democrats flip Maine. We can take New Hampshire. So really, Democrats didn't gain a seat. Sure, they did. They flipped Maine, but we took New Hampshire away. So the quality of the win was not as big as they ought to hope for. So that is that. But New Hampshire, it's going to be difficult compared to most other swing states. We're talking about a state that I voted for Kamala Harris by 2. That's so bad, but Kamala Harris. Come on, guys. New Hampshire is a state that supports gun rights, low taxes, and small government. And this state voted for Kamala Harris, who opposes all of that. So I definitely think New Hampshire, a lot of folks from Vermont, Massachusetts, and even Maine are going into New Hampshire. They're enclosing into New Hampshire. And then again, it's getting more liberal. Those low tax and gun-loving New Hampshireites are probably leaving and going to Florida. That sparks big concern that New Hampshire could become like a Maine or a Vermont. Forbid it not. But that is the concern there. But New Hampshire, though, still is a competitive state. We would love to win it. It's a Senate state. Obviously, the best candidate to run would be Scott Brown, despite my repetitive views towards Mr. Brown, who I believe he's the former ambassador to New Zealand and Samoa under the Trump administration. That maybe helps him a little bit, but then again, he's running as a Kamala Harris Republican, basically. And you would think, that would be great because, they voted for Kamala Harris. Well, no, then again, we're not he thinks he's running in Vermont. He's running in New Hampshire. And in order to gain momentum, he needs to gain enough states, he needs enough support, to actually win the said state of New Hampshire. Because, Chris Pappas can't be underestimated, period. But yes, you'll see Brown came very close. I believe he will win Coos this time. It voted against him 60%. But yes, it's going to be difficult. You would think you would win some independents, but independents like Chris Pappas. The left isn't going to sell out Chris Pappas to vote for Scott Brown. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. And on top of that, Republicans, they're just having a stigma over you because of your liberal views. So I'm like, is Scott Brown worth it? But if he's the only guy we got, and the only guy with recognition we got, then I'm sorry, we gotta have to take the risk. I'm very pessimistic with him, but then again, this may be a state that we end up losing. Of course, Chris Sununu decided to throw the rocks at us by not running, which I think he's just coping that Nikki Haley didn't win the nomination This is just cope. But New York is going to be a House race. Yes, it's true. There is a governor's race there. There is a governor's race, which will be won by Democrats. I very doubt it that Republicans will win New York. Because this is just too big. New York City's just too big. Too many liberals. And if they do very well, and then it's going to become a Florida 2000 thing. Yeah, it says battleground, and technically it is, and not the gubernatorial level. But in regards to the New York gubernatorial race, we want that Republican nominee in New York to do good, because he or she's going to be the coattail effect that will bring Republicans to victory in those seats. The seats being in 2026. Or how about that? 2024 New York. How about United States? New York. But yes, for sure, this would be a big deal. So, New York, there are seats that are compatible, like, for instance, New York 3, Tom Suozzi's seat. Yeah, I mean, Mike LePetri did very well in regards to actually gaining the votes compared to that disastrous February election, which Republicans struggled to turn out last year. But I personally think that in the end, I think we could possibly overcome Tom Suozzi. I mean, it looks like people are going against him, and then we could actually unseat him in regards to the issues in New York. That's going to bring more conservatives to the polls. People might like Tom Suozzi, or people will want to punish Tom Suozzi for not standing up against the violence in New York and the poor administration in New York City. So, obviously, and then keep in mind, 2021, there's a New York New York City mayoral race. And depending, and very likely, Mr. Cuomo is likely to win that race for mayor. Andrew Cuomo, not Chris Cuomo. He's the guy from News Nation. But Andrew Cuomo, he is very likely to win that race. Depending on how he runs New York City and how Governor Hochul, who will still be in power, will destroy New York, and how she will be running that state does in the long run. But yes, we could possibly flip New York 3. We could possibly flip New York 4 back. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, all the Republicans came out. Yeah, Trump Republicans, though. We're talking about people, independents, the Republican Party abroad, moderate, MAGA, maybe some liberal Republicans just do not like how New York is being run. They show up and they could get the Republican nominee, whoever that may be, across the finish line in New York 4. This is an opposite cocktail effect. I would say opposite cocktail effect in favor of the Republican nominee, and discontent over how, in a nutshell, that New York has been run and New York City has been run for so long. But another seat that could possibly be determined, could possibly be picked up is, oh yeah, that's right. Before we get to that, we need to hold Mike Lawler's seat, and it's very likely that Mike Lawler will actually be that Republican nominee. And the question is he going to win this seat? It's a Kamala Harris seat, by the way. Kamala Harris won this district. So we can't become complacent. Oh, I'll stay Republican. Well, Mike Lawler, as far as I know, is the only guy that can keep it red. So we're going to see how that turns out. I would rather have Miss Joe Pinion run for that governor's race than Mike Lawler. Mike Lawler needs to stay in the House of Representatives and keep this district red, especially this year when the House is just so tight. We can't afford to lose more seats that we don't need to lose. We can keep this seat red if we have Mike Lawler in there. So that is true, and most of it is saying yes, it's mostly going to be Republican. There have been no 2025 predictions. Actually, no, this is just the 2024. Never mind, this is 2024 race. And then of course there's this race I was originally talking about. New York 19. It's a very rural district, obviously, but because of Tompkins County and the students there, and Broome County and this county right here, it could be and all these. It could be Democrat, but what we could do is we could turn out in Sullivan County, Otsego County, I want to believe it's called Otsego or something like that, wherever it is. But we can win. I mean, the last time we won this race, and it was different borders, so that could be a concern. But then again, the same counties were added. I think just a little bit of Ulster County was added to this said seat of New York 19 that made it very compatible. But I think like Mark Molinaro could run, and it's a very tight race. I think it's a possible pickup. If this was an opposite cocktail effect, we could possibly gain, my view, 3 seats in New York, and go from there. Pennsylvania has the House. And now, yeah, it has a governor's race, but the likelihood that Democrats are going to win this governor's race is kind of very, very likely, similar to how Republicans are likely to win Nevada. But the thing about Nevada is we have no indications or no polls of actually showing how Joe Lombardo's doing in the race. So I'm not necessarily confident that Nevada is going to be a hold for Republicans. But you will see it's a likely Democrat. Lieutenant Governor Doug Mastriano is publicly expressed we should not take him because he destroyed himself last time. He's saying if Garrity runs for governor, she could, and that's it. We got Stacey Garrity. Stacey Garrity is pretty strong in regards to this race, and I would call it a win if Stacey Garrity gets it like Joe Biden numbers, doing how 2020 the 2020 numbers that Trump delivered, like 48%. That would be a good one for us. Shows that, hey, Josh Shapiro, he's not as the biggest threat as we are making him to be. He has a lot of skeletons in his closet, and it would be very convenient for Republicans if those skeletons begin to fall out. But what I am mostly concerned about overall, and you'll see she's very popular, 51% to 45%. That would make it probably a likely or more tighter race. But what I am mostly concerned about is the House races and how maybe a Josh Shapiro being the favorite, the cocktail, delivering a Democrat cocktail effect on the Democrat side. That's something I am concerned about because, don't get me wrong, Pennsylvania has a lot. Pennsylvania has multiple seats on the line, and we can actually take a look at the House of Representatives race. Yeah, you got, no doubt about it, Brian Fitzpatrick will win if he runs again, that at least. It's mainly going to be the most important seats, and that being New York, Pennsylvania 7. Ryan McKenzie, concerned that he won't get, but then again, McKenzie is a native of Lehigh County, and that's part of the reason why Ryan McKenzie, who resides in Lehigh, won is because we had half of the county going for McKenzie, and that is kind of what helped McKenzie win. I think, in a nutshell, I think McKenzie can pull it off if he can get those same people. And then again, he's not becoming a stigma in the House of Representatives. He's pretty moderate. So the people in Lehigh could be determined and bring Ryan McKenzie over. Really, Northampton County it's still blue for Susan Wild. But if he's doing well in the House of Representatives, hey, look, he could go for him. But, yeah, they are. Let's see. Yeah, it says tilting Democrat. Yeah, that's because people thought Susan Wild would win. I don't even know. Were there even any? Yeah, there were polls taken, and McKenzie overperformed, which is amazing. So McKenzie, we learned that he's much stronger, and we could say, oh, it's because of the Trump turnout. Okay, that's fair. But about Pennsylvania's 8th, really, it's just Monroe and Scranton, and maybe getting these counties out voting, and we could keep Rob Bresnanen in, because his race is also at stake. Scott Perry. Okay. Scott Perry's race is concerning because Scott Perry, let's see, just inched it out barely. He won by like 0.what%. And compared to his 2022 race, where he got 53%. Well, how come he did better? And this is with Trump supporters. He only delivered 50.6%. If this was a midterm year, for sure, Scott Perry would probably be kicked out. So I'm concerned that this district, a Trump district, by the way, could go against the Republican, and this would be a Democrat gain. We could win it back in 28. That's true. But we just need a very incompetent Democrat, really. It's tilting Republicans because it's been a long time Republican county. But then again, Scott Perry has held the district for a while, and it could go the other way. So that is something we should not underestimate. But that seat, along with Pennsylvania 8th and 6th and 7, they are very up for grabs. But I think that's it for Pennsylvania. Yeah, 3 seats, just like New York, is up for grabs in the House of Representatives for Pennsylvania. North Carolina, it's the Senate. And yes, you do have a House race in New York, one that it would be great for Republicans to win. But the biggest priority is the Senate. Why? Because that, just like Maine, winning this seat would also result in Democrats putting 2028 in contestation. It would be very nice for us not have to worry about 2028. But you got Don Brown running as a Republican. Okay, yeah, he's running against Tillis. Okay, he was the candidate. I don't think he's going to win, though. He's not even a politician. He's an attorney and an author. Tom Tillis, he's getting cozy with Trump. It's kind of working. But obviously, he has a liberal record to counter. And like in 2020, he managed to pull it off against Cal Cunningham. And then again, he got very lucky. Cal Cunningham he opened his closet and all the skeletons came out. And still, Tillis didn't gain 50%. So really, the question is Tillis just stronger than we think he is? And that's the thing. We thought that Kay Hagan would win re-election in 2. So this wasn't the first time. It was actually 2 times in a row that polling and predictions said that Tillis would lose. And I think in general, we get the polling saying that Tillis is in the lead, then that's good. If this is saying leaning Republican, the Cook Political Report is saying leaning Republican, that's good news. Good news. We have Wally Nickel running, and he's singing this anti-Trump vibe. And I'm just saying, you need those Trump Republicans to go out and vote for Nickel if you want to carry him to victory. Similar to how the Trump Republicans kind of showed up for the Josh Stein, and even Roy Cooper. You got some of those so-called sane Democrats. No such thing as a sane Democrat. Maybe Dean Phillips, but it was mainly a vote against Mr. Robinson. But I do think that Tillis, if nominated, likely will be, could win against the Democrat, Wally Nickel, and we could pull it off in Maine. I'm not so sure, but this is an important Senate race. Just as the same in Georgia. We can actually, hang on, let's pull up the race in North Carolina before we move on. This will probably be a long video. North Carolina is an important, like, winning North Carolina, is it North Carolina 1? Is it North Carolina? Yeah, North Carolina 1. Winning this seat would be good for Republicans. It would be good. You have Don Davis winning below 50%. This is good. It would be, and you see Don Davis, he's performing like a double-digit margin. You have a Republican Lori Buckhout overperforming, and I have to say it's mainly because of redistricting. You got, like, this county, I think it's Hoke County, going more Republican, and I think seeing how Republicans did in 2022, I think Republicans are the high propensity voters in North Carolina. We could honestly take Don Davis out. It is a race that we should look at. Republicans will win these sort of races. It's not like saying Democrats are going to flip them all, but we could take a look at North Carolina 1 and try to get the Republican nominee, whoever that may be, to win this seat, to kick Don Davis out, because he is losing momentum. You can't necessarily look at 2022 because that was a different border, different district. Redistricting has proven that Don Davis is in jeopardy. He is in trouble in keeping this race blue. So, yes. Moving to Georgia, though, the only compatible race is going to probably be the governor, the Senate race, and that is probably priority number one. That's something that has scared me the most about 2026 is the Georgia race, because who do we have now? We have this race already being called by Race to the White House, saying it's going to be tilting Democrat. Well, it's too early to call, really. But really, we need to actually need to wake up Brian Kemp, because we actually have congressmen and women. You got Mike Collins, Tim Scott, and Eric Erickson. They're endorsing Brian Kemp, and Brian Kemp is sleeping on the wheel. He is the most strongest candidate that we got. I mean, let's be honest. Brian Kemp is defeating Ossoff in a close polling match. And while if we run everyone else, like Brad Raffensperger or Buddy Carter, it's showing devastating polls that, yeah, John Ossoff is going to probably win. So the real, he hasn't declined, but we need Brian Kemp to say, hey, you can't run again. Brian Kemp can't run for governor again. And I think he's fairly young. I think he's fairly fit and competent. I think he should go for the Senate. And the fact that he hasn't decided to go yet, maybe he's purposely waiting it behind. I don't know. But Republicans, they don't have. We have a lot of choices, but those choices are proving not to be the strongest. Sure, John Ossoff versus a generic Republican. Generic Republican is tied with Ossoff. But I think it's possible that we can win this seat. We can get Ossoff out, which would be great. Not to mention, in 2020, pretty close results. Well, actually, no, this is North Carolina. What am I doing? 2020. Yeah, you saw the first round. David Perdue won the first round technically because it was a close. I think it would be a runoff if you ask me. And if you in that runoff, I'm telling you, that's when we should be concerned. I'm saying let's run Kemp, because if we run some other Republican, it's probably guaranteed we lose. Because if we run some other Republican, the likelihood that this Ossoff wins straight out, or the likelihood that this race goes to a runoff is high. And when it goes to a runoff, we know Republicans can't show up. They won't show up, and they won't get their guy to win, and then they ends up losing. This is, and the Democrat wins. So it's really up to Kemp. Kemp, if this is what he needs to do, is run. And if he announces his campaign, I feel amazing about this race. But what about the Georgia race, which is potential, but not as critical as the Senate race? The Georgia governor's mansion has been held by Republicans for 2 decades or so. It's labeled a battleground. You got the Democrat going with Alunji Brown, a church founder. Okay, that qualifies you amazingly. You got the mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms, running it for the mayor of Atlanta. She's the former mayor of Atlanta, and I don't think people out of Atlanta are going to be enthused with how she ran her city to the ground. But you got Chris Carr, who is the Attorney General. I think Chris Carr running in this race against, let's just say, what do Democrats have? A mayor and a church founder. I would say Chris Carr will win the governor's mansion and keep it red for another 4 years. So I'm not very much concerned unless some crazy congressman from this district over here, or some congresswoman or man from the districts in Atlanta, then I would be kind of concerned. So, but it looks like it's going into our favor. Not to mention, we can actually look at Chris Carr and his performances. Yeah, he is kind of new, Chris Carr. 51%. He does pretty well. This is kind of indecisive, though. Yeah, he's winning in, like, this county, Clay County. Voting for Kamala Harris by quite a few. He won that county. He also won the Black Belt, or Sumter County, a county that voted for Kamala Harris. He's picking up things he needs to win. I think Chris Carr, if he runs for the governor's race, he does. He is running, guys. That's good. That's amazing. He's running for governor. Likelihood of him winning, you're seeing how he is getting more popular. Well, because the Democrat went from 48 to 46. I think there's a chance that Republicans can pull it off. Will pull it off. But we talked a lot about Georgia, some unnecessary time on Georgia. But I want to talk about the Ohio race. And really, the Ohio United States Senate race is congressional races are pretty important because, honestly, the likelihood that Democrats are going to gerrymander and battle their way into the courts to steal 2 seats from the Wisconsin House of Representatives in Wisconsin, and yeah, it's likely. It's pretty likely. And how can we counter this? We got to go and battle our way in Ohio. Republicans have the legislature. Republicans have the governor's mansion. We should be able to do this. And you'll see how we almost won this district. Let's just say we give these counties to the Republicans. We connect these corners together. This seat goes Republican. No doubt about it. We feel very good about Ohio 7. Is it the 7th district? No, it's not the 7th district. What am I talking about? Yeah, we feel very good about that coastal district. Yeah, right here. We can get Marcy Kaptur out. And she's been in there for a while. We're done with you. And Republicans, if they're smart in Ohio, they learn, oh, let's just redistrict and connect these together. This is a Republican seat. This is a gain. What about this seat right here? The chances of Republicans gerrymandering that seat is possible, but I would say if they leave the borders, the likelihood of us winning that seat, I'm not so confident about that. Mainly because, and again, we're talking about suburbs in Cleveland that traditionally go Democrat. Sure, this county voted for DeWine. Sure, by like 55. I don't care. No, you're going against an incumbent congresswoman, though. 51 to 48% good, but then again, most of this county is in the blue district. So we need to go out of our way and try to maybe gain more out of this district. Ohio 13, maybe add this area, this parts of this area, or expand westward over here. It's not going to be by much because this area is pretty populated, and congressional districts have to be the size of the population. Population's big, then the congressional district is small, okay? So it's not going to be big. So, but I understand there's very little Republicans can add on to this district, but what they can do is just add a little and just, then again, it's within reach. 48% for Kevin Collin. I think we can pick it up if we put our energy to it. Not to mention, Ohio has become a red state. Ramaswamy, the chances he wins that governor's mansion is high. You get the momentum up for him. Republicans need to get over their anger towards this guy. Period. They need to reconcile with Vivek, and obviously they need to respect Trump's wishes for Vivek to be the governor. So get on board and help Ohio make Ohio great again. That's how it works. But this is House. You're seeing Ohio is in the House. Michigan is the Senate. You got a Senate race in Michigan, which, hey, I think it's looking we got to take a look at that. Michigan. Yeah, you got the Democrat, Marley McMorrow, and the fact that she's running and she's just a state senator, that's pretty good for Republicans. The reality, state senators can win, but if we're running like a congressman like Mike Rogers is running again. We should be happy about that. Mike Rogers is going to likely defeat McMorrow. This saying that it's going to be a tilting Democrat, I don't take it seriously. No. These polls do not know how this works. State senator must be a really competent state senator. Mallory McMorrow, very young lady, 38. I personally think she's too young for the U.S. Senate. We'll see how the state votes. But you also have Mike Rogers, who proved to be pretty strong in 2024. He got the Trump cocktail effect, but it wasn't enough to defeat Elisa Slotkin. We kind of knew that she would win because she was the incumbent congresswoman. Mike Rogers was kind of like history, few chapters in the 2010s. People kind of forgot about him. He's running. Oh, I remember you, but it's not going to ring a bell because this lady's in. But he does do very well. Is it Trump cocktail effects? Well, and that's the other thing. Republicans, they have to make sure they are doing good in the governor's race also, so they can carry the Republicans over in Michigan. That governor's race, we got good news is we got John Brown in that governor's race, which is amazing, and that's good. We want that to happen. Oh, you got Mike Duggan. He's could take some votes away from like Jocelyn Benson's running. Great. Jocelyn Benson's running for the governor. That's going to be difficult. Garland Gilchrist is running, and the likelihood that Benson and Gilchrist are going to battle it out in a very tough primary, I am hopeful for. Mike Duggan, who is mayor of Detroit. Yeah. John James. Yeah, I want John James because he's the U.S. Congressman. You also have Mike Cox. He's the former attorney general. 2002. But then again, we're saying, oh, he flipped Oakland County. Well, Oakland County was Republican in the early 2000s. It's changed. Not to mention, Kent County was very Republican. It was like 60%. He defeated Gary Peters. Yeah, he was strong. Yeah, he expanded his popularity by 10 points. But I'm mainly concerned about how he ran for governor. He ran for governor in 2010, and he lost. And why did he lose? Well, it depends on how much he lost. He lost to, actually, no, he didn't lose. He wasn't the nominee. Rick Snyder was. Then again, I'm not opposed to him, but the only problem is Cox is kind of old history. We're talking about the last time he ran was 16 years ago. So things may have changed. So people will forget he's running at the wrong time. I think it's too late. John James is more relevant. He's now a congressman. He's expanded his portfolio. He almost defeated Gary Peters in a very close race. He won Kent, which is amazing because that holds Grand Rapids as a big bellwether for Republicans to pick up. And I think personally, seeing how Trump managed to win over a point without Kent County, that is a good news. If we can win Kent County, it's pretty much guaranteed that we would win the race as a whole. Obviously, John James didn't win, but he was pretty close. But yeah, he also won Lanu, which is solid Democrat. He didn't win Saginaw, but if he probably won Saginaw, he would have probably won. Or Eaton, right there. But I'm trying to hurry it up, but Michigan, of course, is a state with lots of consequences. You got two. I would say two. I say two because there is a. I mainly we want to keep Alyssa Slotkin's seat. That's what we need. That's the priority. Keeping Alyssa Slotkin's seat. In order to do that, we need a good Republican. We need a good We got good Republicans in the United States House, in the Senate, and the governor's mansion. In the governor's race. So there would be a cocktail effect. Then again, it's a swing state. They might disapprove of what Trump is doing. I don't know. But you got the 7th district. That's Alyssa Slotkin's race. It's already a tough match. You got Sarah Anthony. She's running as the Democratic senator against Tom Barrett. He's the incumbent U.S. representative. We're going to see how that goes, but we got to pick this seat up. Well, not pick it up, but we got to keep it. We got to keep our seats red. We got to keep our seats red in this seat especially. Yeah, you'll see Tom Barrett won by 4. If he is doing a good job, then I think the possibility, and Curtis Hertel is already he was a state senator. If we can keep this red, we're eliminating Democrats' paths to win the House, which would be a miracle or amazing, depending on how you look at it. Yes, I'm looking on that top one. Yeah, it was a close one. I don't think there's beating Kristen McDonald-Rivet. I do think it could be. It's leaning Democrat. I don't want to challenge this. But we could actually put a dent in it. We could make it shake and startle her and maybe possibly win by like 48%. That would probably be good. And obviously, if we're winning there by 48%, we could likely win that district that we are trying to get. That Susan. No, that's Alyssa Slotkin district. Wisconsin is actually a House. No, it's a governor. We're going to go ahead and do red for governor. They do have a governor's race, which is very important. All right. The governor's race, yeah, I think the governor's race, winning that race is likely to happen. Well, it really does depend. Tony Evers has publicly expressed that he would like to run. That is good. You got Tom Tiffany, though. Tom Tiffany, we need to go for him because he's a U.S. congressman from Wisconsin's 7th District. How he performs, we can actually check that out. Take a look at Wisconsin and how he performed in his district. Obviously, there are going to be no House districts in play, just a governor's race, which is good for the most part. But yeah, this is the seat that Democrats want. And oh boy, if they add just a little bit more, and it's likely to happen, guys. So I would detach from Wisconsin 3, even though I would say go out and protest peacefully, because really it's all so unconstitutional that we don't get to choose the representative. Like, unbelievable. But this is the 7th District. And yeah, and you'll see, Marathon County's like 70%. I think that's 70%. 60, 70, okay, this is 70%. 60%. In Marathon County is a county that tends to go lukewarm for Trump. He won Chippewa County by like 60%, or whatever this county's called. Buffalo, I don't know what it's called. But then again, Douglas, Baldwin, no, this is Bayfield, my bad, and Ashland counties. They're not going 60%, and they don't really do that anyway, but they are in reach. But that's why I think getting Tiffany the nomination, going against a clown like Tony Evers, although he did pretty well, but now he's gone insane with the eliminating the term mother and father, replacing it with inseminated persons, like that's supposed to help our life. No. So I am really pushing for Tom. Tom Tiffany needs to run. He's publicly expressed. He's the only guy that I think he can flip Wisconsin. He's a U.S. congressman. That's kind of hard to beat in regards to experience. Minnesota, I would say, goes for the governor. Why? Governor, not Senate? Well, the thing is, the likelihood that the lieutenant governor, Peggy Flanagan's going to win that seat is high and likely. Some people have labeled it a battleground. Tim Walz can't even endorse her own lieutenant governor, which is insane. Like, that's like Peggy Flanagan. And then again, all the Gen Z women and everyone she will gain those votes. She would be the very first Native American U.S. Senator from Minnesota, as far as I know. And being a woman, she has the infinity stones of wokeness. And what do Republicans have? Well, I'm not against him, but we have Royce White. Yes, Royce White is running again for the United States Senate. He proved to be strong. He did very well compared to what Mr. Neuberger did, gaining like 4 points. Whether was that the Trump cocktail effect, I don't know. But I mean, he almost broke Winona County, has a lot of students there. The Metro, we knew this was going to happen. Amy Klobuchar is a very hard candidate to beat, but she almost had likely Democrat numbers, which pretty much shows that her honeymoon is over almost. Yeah, you'll see in terms of swing in Minnesota. Hennepin County got a little more liberal. Olmsted County got a little bit more liberal. Cook County got a little bit more liberal. But other than that, we had those same numbers there. But I'm mainly looking at the governor's race. Tim Walz, he's definitely become very unpopular in this state. Just recently, he held a veteran assembly in attempts to gaslight veterans about Trump, but apparently the veterans beat him to it. They booed him relentlessly, and he was not welcomed. So that, of course, I am 100% support of. Tim Walz has expressed a run, but his decision is expected in 2025. Likelihood that he's going to run is high because, then again, I know Tim Walz, and he would love a redemption compared to 2024. So he's likely to, in my view, say he's running. Then you got Jeff Johnson. He's running. Now, this isn't the same Jeff Johnson from 18. Okay, 18, Jeff Johnson, you got so many people with those names. But another Jeff Johnson, he's from St. Cloud, city councilor. I would rather, Mr. Johnson, you become mayor of St. Cloud than jump all the way to the governor's mansion. Tom Emmer not running for either is just annoying. It's making me, it's just, I am very unenthused with not supporting him. Because this guy did pretty well in 2010. Then again, if he would have won those rural areas over here, along with those suburban areas around Hennepin and Ramsey counties, he would have become the governor. And the very popular Senator Mark Dayton would have lost. Not to mention Tom Horner was taking votes away from both of them, I'm guessing. But he was actually a little bit more liberal, if you ask me. But obviously this was, and after this, Tom Emmer doesn't want to run. He wants to keep his Senate seat, and I get it. He has a huge job in the House of Representatives. Yeah, but at some point, you got to save Minnesota, Congressman. You're not going to be in that seat forever. But you'll see. Scott Jensen will likely run again. He's saying, I would rather go for the My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell. The problem with Jensen was he was a good speaker. I liked him. I attended his rallies. I had a good time there. But he didn't enthuse a lot of Trump supporters. In fact, Jensen kept going back and forth in regards to the abortion issue. He let the mainstream media bombard him over Roe v. Wade and his previous comments. A lot of fear and uncertainty in regards to his views on the abortion, yada, yada, yada. Do you think he will do good this time? I think Jensen has learned from his lessons in 2022, hopefully. This is a different year. No Roe v. Wade being overturned. It could be more compatible. Tim Walz has become a stigma. He's become unpopular. People are being made fun of for supporting him. We're not going to see much Walz-Flanagan signs anymore. And in fact, Flanagan won't be running. So Tim Walz will have to choose a new a running mate, which will probably be a DEI hire, which I will not be surprised. Like Flanagan was a DEI hire. I'm telling the truth, obviously, but so Minnesota, I'm optimistic. Governor, I would say it's not the priority. We have many seats we need to win. Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, Maine. Minnesota is the extra mile if we do very good. And honestly, I will be voting. I will do whatever I can to get Tim Walz out of that governor's mansion. Okay, Iowa. Iowa's on this list for a couple reasons. I personally think the Republican in Iowa has a pretty slight advantage in regards to obtaining the governor's mansion, but the problem is this guy, Bob Sand, who is a strong candidate, believe it or not. Sand originally wanted to run in 2022, and if he did, he probably would have ousted Reynolds. I don't know, but Sand, out of the blue, said that I would go and run for another term as auditor, because looking at his previous election runs, he's a very strong candidate. Look at this, 46% in 18. Yes, his popularity went down a little bit. Possibilities we beat him again? It's possible. We just need a competent Republican. It's not like he's going to become an Andy Bashir or something like that. You'll see by district. This is a blue district. But yes, I think we can possibly beat him. Really is. Who is running? I think looking at, you got Brad Sherman, state representative. I'm not so crazy about him. A state representative versus a very popular state auditor. I'm not so sure. Brenna Bird is expressing a run. That would be the Attorney General of Iowa. I would rather have her run. And how about Zach Nunn? Nunn would be better. Nunn needs to run. He's a part of that district right here. The only difference is that district would become vulnerable, and it will be, because in 2026 there are 2 House races that are labeled vulnerable for the said Republicans. So Republicans have, pull it up, in regards to Iowa. Yes, you see, you have District 1, and who occupies District 1? Marinette Miller Meeks, and I hope she's out. She is a disaster. She barely carried this district, so much so that Christina Bohannon wanted a recount, and I believe there was a recount, and as far as I know, she lucked out. I mean, here's the deal. She's losing Scott County. She's losing this county, which Trump won 3 times. She is losing, okay? She's losing support compared to 2022, in which she actually did pretty well against Bohannon. And in a matter of 2 years, she's becoming very unpopular. She's become a stigma. She needs to go. She better not run for governor. I'm just saying, she's become very difficult. And in a nutshell, I think, Christina Bohannon, whatever this race would be in 2026, potential. This would be her 3rd time, so I don't know. David Potch, military founder and candidate for this district in 2024, he's running. But there's a chance that Miller Meeks will be primaried out, which I'm hoping. I think she shouldn't even bother, because she will lose either way. But there's also this district right here is a District 3. That's Nunn's district, and Zach Nunn, she did okay in regards. Yeah, you'll see. Yeah, it's kind of a swing district. It's a compatible district for sure. And you see how Zach Nunn, 51%, 47%. Really, I doubt that this district would go for Democrats. Besides, you have 1 county. You can't even get it to 60%. Although Lannon Beckham did deliver a good performance in the state. So, in a nutshell, Iowa is going to be for the House. And then there is Nebraska, which obviously we know why Nebraska's on there. Nebraska at large will be Republican. I think we all agree on that. But obviously, we have Don Bacon's seat in the House of Representatives. That is very vulnerable, in my view. Let's see. Nebraska. All the way up. Yes. It's pretty vulnerable. You have Nebraska's 1st district, safe Republican. Yeah, it's a 2nd district. It's tilting Republican. You have independent Dan Osborne running. And the good news of him running is that would possibly result in maybe the Democrat runs too. That would mean that Dan Osborne, the Democrat, would be split ticketing each other. That would be very beneficial. And Don Bacon would win by like 5 or 6, which would be relieving. But Don Bacon, he has been known for pulling some stunning surprises, like overperforming. He's gotten away a couple times, but I feel like there's going to be a time where he doesn't get away with this. 2022. I mean, his margins are dropping. By not as fast as Miller Meeks. Miller Meeks has to go. But yeah, his margins are dropping, and that should be concerning. I think Don Bacon's the only Republican that could win this district. It's a Democrat district, let's face it. But we got to give him a shot. We just got to hope that Dan Osborne runs, and they run a Democrat, and they end up split ticketing each other. So this is also a House potential. Looking at, I want to address Kansas, because Kansas, I don't have Kansas on there, and I probably should. Let's put Kansas on there. Because I personally feel that Kansas will be Republican, and that's why I didn't add it in there, because what's her name isn't running. Laura Kelly, who is the only gal, only politician, only Democrat that can win Kansas, and she can barely even crack 50%. The good news is we don't have to deal with her anymore, but I have better good news for Republicans. We have one Democrat running, a state senator, Cindy Hochler, but Republican Scott Schwab is decided to run for governor. He is declared, and of course, his run, and he's pretty popular, guys. Because he became popular when his 10-year-old son, Caleb, was unfortunately decapitated on a water slide in Kansas City, in Schlitterbahn Amusement Park, which ultimately led to the whole amusement park being shut down. And I think the creators of the park were charged, but obviously Scott Schwab gained lots of attention after that. Kansas passed a new law in regards to water slide safety and water slide suspections. And ultimately, people just feel for this man, Scott Schwab. And I have always pushed this guy to run. Like this, and obviously, I don't want to make a light of this tragedy. Obviously, if anything in the world, what Scott Schwab wants is his son back, his 10-year-old son, which he held the corpse of this 10-year-old son with no head, by the way. I would be freaking out. But this is understandably his child. This is his child. So he's freaking out. He's in disbelief, yes. But he is mourning. But yes, Scott Schwab, he's pretty conservative, yada, 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 for Kansas. No, well, Kansas voted for Trump, and vote for Trump, so we should be really concerned about it. And he's going against someone like Cindy Hochler, state senator, the guy with more recognition, Scott Schwab, who has proven to be pretty strong. I mean, I don't think we have any map results from his Kansas Secretary of State run. Oh, yeah, he did. We do have results. Yeah, he was pretty strong. I mean, yeah, he can't win. Johnson County's not on the table anymore. Forget about Johnson County. That's a part of the metro area in Topeka and Kansas City. It's done. It's gone. 2018, his campaign was just taking off. This is after, obviously, was it 2016? 2 years after the death of his son, Caleb. I think, and as a state senator, in a year where Democrats picked up this Senate seat, in a year where Democrats did pick up the governor's mansion, he did pretty well. So I'm pretty optimistic that in the governor's race, Republicans will flip Kansas. They're going to gain it. I'm not worried about it at all. But yeah, Scott Schwab, love the guy. Lots of respect for him. So many people respect him. Even Democrats feel for him and what he had to go through. His son died in the most terriblest way, and he witnessed it. It leaves an aftermath of effect to you, and I think overall, his campaign will bring lots of momentum for Republicans, for a state that has Democrats occupying the governor's mansion for 8 years. But you also have the state of Texas that is for the House of Representatives. Main reason being, you got the current Congress man, United States House, the current, I'm blanking on my words, the current representative from one of the southern Texas districts is undergoing the possibility of indictment, and we know how that works out, similar to how George Santos and his indictment went. But looking here, we want to go to that southern Texas district. I mean, we shouldn't become complacent. It is a district with Democrat counties in it. Sure, they voted for Trump. Yeah, they did vote for Trump. But in the state level, they are pretty Democratic. If only I can find it. I think I'm getting closer. You have this guy, too. Henry Coiler. I think Henry Coiler could be in trouble. Yeah, an indictment. Yeah, he's being indicted. So he could possibly pick up his seat. Red Eagle is very optimistic about it. I'm optimistic, too. Let's see it popularity-wise. 2022 comparison. 56. Oh, okay, yeah, this is, like, I agree with Red Eagle. This seat's going Republican. I think it's a possible gain, and if people want to, like, I was thinking about the congressman from, I keep forgetting that seat, like, where, okay, this seat, yes, Vicente Gonzalez. Mayra Flores, she could run if she wants. She is a congresswoman, after all, barely, but she tried to get her seat back, but some Republican, they want to run against Vicente Gonzalez. The Republican did gain support from this big Hispanic county, 70% up here. I think it's possible we can kick this guy out of office. Also, so we got 2 seats in Texas that are vulnerable, and that's pretty much the only seat you got in Texas. In Colorado, there is also a seat that is vulnerable, and that being involving, okay, Colorado 2026. No, the House of Representatives. There we go. Because you got the congressman from Colorado, and the problem is these type of years for Democrats tend to be very good in Colorado. It tends to be very good for Democrats in Colorado, and if Republicans don't turn out, then we risk this seat going Democrat. You have the former representative Yadira Caravo. She's running already to get her seat back. You got Gabe Evans. We got to keep him in. And the fact that, hey, look, Caravo could flip this back, it's possible. I mean, we kicked you out for a reason. You lost your race for a reason. It depends on how Gabe Evans does overall. Then again, a lot of people, Republicans turned out because of Trump and voted for Gabe Evans at the same time. So it really is uncertain. But obviously here, this is a seat that, yeah, Republicans, it would be great. And obviously, I'm not saying, hey, look, we lose, and I'm for sure Republicans will lose these seats, right? We're going to lose a couple of them, like we do in every election cycle. Democrats will lose a couple too. This is the midterms. So I'm not saying, oh, we got him out. We got Evans. Evans lost. We're going to boo-hoo and cry about it for an hour. No, we're not. In fact, my expectations for Republicans are very low in the House of Representatives, seeing that Republicans have already held it for 4 years, and Democrats and people in general probably just want a transition of power. But yeah, that 8th district. I think he's coming from this area. Then again, maybe the areas that he comes from should benefit Evans, but it's very comparable. You see this district's a little bit more bluer. Yeah, no real difference change. But Colorado is important. Arizona has a governor's race, and that governor's race, we do have the possibility and the opportunity to really kick out the current governor, Katie Hobbs. She's unpopular. She's unliked. But really, who's going to go up there against? I originally would say Kimberly Yee, I want to believe that's her name. But I decided, hey, Andy Biggs, he's already declared his run. Let's go with him. I think he has a good chance of defeating Karen Taylor Robinson, part of the Arizona Board of Regents, and the candidate for governor in 2022. I do think it is possible. But the likelihood that Andy Biggs wins this nomination is high. He's already declared his run, and the possibility of Biggs beating Hobbs is possible. I think Arizona, yeah, it's still kind of liberal too. Good showing in 2024, amazing. But the Senate still went blue. It's just, how was your life better under Hobbs? So obviously, Arizona is, of course, is a seat that we probably want to do good in. Then comes California, which is involving the House. We know very well that there's not going to be a pickup. There's not going to be a governor's seat. We're not going to pick up the governor's seat. Like we won't in Illinois. We won't in New York. We know that, but there are a lot of seats in California that are up for grabs. I can't possibly go over them all, seeing that how long this video has been already, but I can tell you, if we get someone like Kamala Harris as a Democratic nominee, I believe that there will be a lot of independents and Republicans going out just to vote against her. Like, who can imagine this cackling buffoon being your governor? Well, I don't really understand. Well, California's been through a lot. Can't relate. They went through the most cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And the last thing they need is non-masculine leadership. And not saying that women can't be the governor, but someone with no leadership like Kamala Harris, it would be best not to go with her, honestly. But obviously she will win that race pretty easy. Was a cakewalk for that governor's seat, but will she perform the same numbers as Newsom? I don't know. And if she doesn't, then that's the likelihood of us picking up a couple seats in the House of Representatives is high. What about Nevada? Nevada, I had a hard time committing to. I generally don't view Nevada as compatible. Joe Lombardo is very popular, very well liked. He has a good approval rating. One of the most popular governors in Nevada. And currently, he is beating the Democratic declared candidate, Aaron Ford, who is the Attorney General, by a landslide, over 50%. This is huge. And although this is 2023, we need a new poll. Aaron Ford, he is also pretty strong. He is kind of known for that. Let's see. Let's pull up the map. No. So he did win by 52%. That's part of the reason is he won Carson City, the capital. And Republicans over here didn't really turn out, though. So, ideally, I think Aaron Ford is 100% beatable. He could just walk away with just Clark County or no county at all. The likelihood that he gets the nomination is high. He's well-liked. He's well-respected. He's the strongest Democrat in the state level in Nevada. But overall, I think Lombardo will pick up this seat. I am not concerned about it whatsoever. Alaska, I'm not panicking about it yet, but it's going for the governor because we got to remember Mary Patola is still lingering around. Yeah, we threw her out. That's thanks to Trump turnout and the name recognition of Mr. Begich, but she's still liked. She's still popular. She's publicly expressed a run. You got Nancy Nalstrom. She is the current lieutenant governor of Alaska. And she was a candidate for the House in 2024. She didn't get the nomination. Tom Begich could run. But again, that name, actually, no. Tom Begich, however, is a Democrat. I forgot. The Begich family is divided politically. Yeah, half of them are Republicans, half of them are Democrats. Yes, that's his uncle. Well, I'm sure he's not so happy with his uncle. But Nancy Dahlstrom, she's a possible candidate you could have for governor. The fact, can she beat Mary Patola? I don't know. We're going to have to see how that works out. I think Patola won big in 2020. In 2022 due to low turnout, which is a likely scenario. But let's see. Yeah, this is the whopping landslide. And compared to 2024, yeah, Begich. I mean, it's really the areas around Anchorage that you got to probably win. But this is our map, the priority list. So we got more governor's seats. And really, there's no such thing as winning the governor majorityship. No. Because we have no leader positions. The governors don't get to come together and vote on laws. No, they don't have nothing to do with the legislative branch. It's the House and the Senate. Really, it's actually the House that has the most. And that makes sense because the House has lots of seats. And there are quite a lot of vulnerable seats. Senate, we already went over those 5, the Senate seats. But anyway, what do you guys think in regards to this video? Let me know down below. And as always, I will see you all in the next political episode.